जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना जमुना तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना जमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्यमात् भवे चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री यदुदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री धाम मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। गंगा जमुना सरस्वती माय की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Baba. Hare Krishna. I think maybe I should just read the book. So 10:52. Hare Krishna. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So today we are reading from the 10th canto, chapter 62, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha, text 1 to 6. Hare Krishna.
Read the summary of
Yes, and we'll read the summary. Yes, we'll read the verse first so you can all follow, repeat. Okay. Text 1. śrī-rājovāca bāṇasya tanayām ūṣām upayeme yadu-uttamaḥ tatra yuddham abhūt ghoram hari-śaṅkarayoḥ mahat etat sarvaṁ mahā-yogin samākhyātuṁ tam arhasi śrī-rājovāca bāṇasya tanayām ūṣām upayeme yadu-uttamaḥ tatra yuddham abhūt ghoraṁ hari-śaṅkarayoḥ mahat etat sarvaṁ mahā-yogin samākhyātuṁ tam arhasi. Śrī-rājovāca upayeme
śrī-rājovāca tanayām ūṣām upayeme yadu-uttamaḥ ghoraṁ hari-śaṅkarayoḥ etat sarvaṁ mahā-yogin tvam arhasi
yadu-uttamaḥ upayeme yadu-uttamaḥ tatra yuddham abhūt ghoram hari-śaṅkarayoḥ Matajis. Upayeme śrī-rājovāca. The king Parīkṣit Mahārāja said, Bāṇasya of the demon Bāṇa, tanayām, the daughter, ūṣām, named Uṣā, upayeme, married, yadu-uttamaḥ, the best of the Yadus, Aniruddha, tatra, in connection with that, yuddham, a battle, abhūt, occurred, ghoram, fearsome, hari-śaṅkarayoḥ, between Lord Hari, Krishna, and Lord Śaṅkara, Shiva. Mahat, great, etat, this, sarvaṁ, all, mahā-yogin, O great mystic, samākhyātuṁ, to explain, tvam, you, arhasi, deserve. Translation. King Parīkṣit said, the best of the Yadus married Bāṇasura's daughter, Uṣā. And as a result, a great fearsome battle occurred between Lord Hari and Lord Śaṅkara. Please explain everything about this incident, O most powerful of mystics. Please repeat. King Parīkṣit said, the best of the Yadus married Bāṇasura's daughter, Uṣā. And as a result, a great fearsome battle occurred between Lord Hari and Lord Śaṅkara. Please explain everything about this incident, O most powerful of mystics. So there is no purport in the next 5 verses. So I'll just read the verses and the translation. Hare Krishna. Sri Sukha uvāca Bāṇa putra sata jyeshto balirasin mahatmanah yena vāmana rūpāya hare dhayi medhini tasya rasha punobhana shiva bhakti ratah sada manyo vadanya dhimangscha satyashando dridavratah so nitakhe pure ramme sarajam akarot pura tasya shambho prasadena kiṅkaraiva te marah sahasrabahur vadyena tandaveto shayam ridam. Sukadeva Goswami said, Bāṇa was the oldest of the 100 sons fathered by the great saint Bali Maharaj, who gave the whole earth in charity to Lord Hari when he appeared as Vamana Dev. Bāṇasur, born from Bali's semen, became a great devotee of Lord Shiva. His behavior was always respectable, and he was generous, intelligent, truthful and firm in his vows. The beautiful city of Sonitapura was under his dominion because Lord Shiva had favored him. The great demigods waited on Bāṇasur like menial servants. Once when Lord Shiva was dancing his Tandava Nritya, Bāṇa specially satisfied the Lord by playing a musical accompaniment with his 1,000 arms. Text 3. Bhagavan sarva-bhūteshah saranyo bhaktavatsalah varena chandayāmasha satang vabre puradipam. Translation. The Lord and Master of all created beings, the compassionate refuge of his devotee, gladdened Bāṇasur by offering him the benediction of his choice. Bāṇa chose to have him, Lord Shiva, as a guardian of his city. Text 4. Saekadaha girisham parshvastham viryadhurmadaha kirite narkha varnena samprisham tat padam bhujam. Bāṇasur was intoxicated with his strength. One day when Lord Shiva was standing beside him, Bāṇasur touched the Lord's lotus feet with his helmet, which shone like the sun, and spoke to him as follows. Text 5. Namasye tvam mahādeva lokanam gurumishwaram pungsam apurna kamanam kama pura marangripam. Bāṇasur said, O Lord Mahadev, I bow down to you, the spiritual master and controller of the worlds. You are like the heavenly tree that fulfills the desires of those whose desires are unfulfilled. Text 6. Dosahasram tvayam dhattam param bharaya me bhavat trilokyan pratiyodharam nalabhetam riteshamam. These 1,000 alms you bestowed upon me have become merely a heavy burden. Besides you, I find no one in the free worlds worthy to fight. Purport by followers of His Divine Grace. According to the Acharyas, Bāṇasur's subtle implication here is this. And so when I have defeated you, Lord Shiva, my world conquest will be complete and my desire for battle satisfied. So there is a very beautiful introduction to the chapter, and it is taken from actually Krishna book from Srila Prabhupada, and it's right from the beginning of the chapter. We'll read that. The meeting of Ūṣām and Aniruddha. This chapter recounts the meeting of Aniruddha and Ūṣām, and also Aniruddha's battle with Bāṇasya. Of the 100 sons of King Bali, the oldest was Bāṇasya. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, who favored Bāṇa so much that even demigods like Indra would serve him. Bāṇasya was satisfied Lord Shiva by playing musical instruments with his 1,000 hands, while Shiva danced his Tandava Nritya. In response, Shiva offered Bāṇa whatever benediction he chose, and Bāṇa asked Shiva to become the guardian of his city. So one day when Bāṇa was feeling an urge to do battle, he told Lord Shiva, "Except for you in the whole world, there is no warrior strong enough to fight me. Therefore these 1,000 arms you have given me are merely a heavy burden." Angered by these words, Lord Shiva replied, "Your pride will be crushed in battle when you meet my equal. Indeed, your chariot flag will fall to the ground broken." Bāṇasur's daughter Ūṣā once had an encounter with a lover in her sleep. Several nights in a row this occurred, until one night she failed to see him in her dreams. Then she suddenly awoke, speaking aloud to him in a state of agitation. But when she noticed her maidservants around her, she felt embarrassed. Ūṣā's companion Chitralekha asked her who she had been addressing, and Ūṣā told her everything. Hearing of Ūṣā's dream lover, Chitralekha tried to relieve her friend's distress by drawing pictures of Gandharvas and other celestial personalities, as well as various men of the Vrishni dynasty. Chitralekha asked Ūṣā to pick out the man she had seen in her dreams, and Ūṣā pointed to the picture of Aniruddha. Chitralekha, who had mystic powers, knew at once that the young man her friend had pointed out was Lord Krishna's grandson Aniruddha. Then, using her mystic powers, Chitralekha flew through the city to Dwarka, found Aniruddha and brought him back with her to Sonitapur, Bāṇasura's capital. There she presented him to Ūṣā. Having obtained the man of her desires, Ūṣā began serving him very affectionately within her private quarters, which were supposed to be strictly off limits to men. After some time, the female guards of the inner palace noticed symptoms of sexual activity on Ūṣā's person, and they went to Bāṇasura to inform him. Greatly disturbed, Bāṇasura rushed to his daughter's apartments with many armed guards, and to his great surprise saw Aniruddha there. As the gods attacked him, Aniruddha took up his club and succeeded in killing a few before the powerful Bāṇa could capture him with his mystic Nagapasha ropes, filling Ūṣā with lamentation. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayaham Dadati Supatantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurung Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitangtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam श्री-राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कंठ राधा कंठ नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदवनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So there's only 2-line purport in the 6th verse. So we will read the verses and explain the storyline according to that. So śrī-rājā uvāca bāṇasya tanayām ūṣām upayeme yadu-uttamaḥ tatra yuddham abhūt ghoram hari-śaṅkarayoḥ etat sarvaṁ mahā-yogin samākhyātuṁ tvam arhasi. So Parīkṣit Mahārāja said, the best of the Yadus married Bāṇasur's daughter ūṣām, and as a result a great fearsome battle occurred between Lord Hari and Lord Śaṅkara. Please explain everything about this incident, O most powerful mystics. So Maharaj Parīkṣit is inquiring about the marriage of Aniruddha to ūṣām, and this chapter will go on for different verses. We'll explain actually the meeting of ūṣām, and it happened that ūṣām was the daughter of Bāṇasur, and she was a young girl of age where she could be married, but by some arrangement of Paramatma, she was at night having an experience of being in a relationship with a young man, and she did not quite understand who that young man was, but that young man was very, very handsome, very brilliant, and very effulgent. And this went on for quite a period of time, and through the days as this went on, and she was rejoicing in her dream, and that was actually one of the blessings that was given to her by Mother Parvati, that she would meet her husband-to-be or her husband in her dreams. So at some point then she started to enjoy that relationship in her dream, but one night that dream didn't happen. It broke, and then she was very disturbed, and she woke up, making exclamation as to the fact that she has lost her lover in the dream. And then her constant companion, who was Chitralekha, and Chitralekha was the daughter of the prime minister of Bāṇasur, and they were very close. And Chitralekha asked her, what is it, what happened? And why are you screaming out the name? Why are you screaming out in such a way that you had a lover? Because I didn't know at any time that you got married. So how is it possible? Then she explains, she narrated the whole story of her dreams to her close companion, her confidant, and Chitralekha. And then Chitralekha said, Chitralekha means that person who had a great ability to paint and to make portraits. So then she said, okay, let me make, who was the person? He said, I don't know who that person was. And Chitralekha then started making paintings of different demigods and different important personalities. And then she started making paintings of the different personalities in the Vrishni clan. And she made pictures of Lord Krishna, and she made pictures of Lord Balaram, and she made pictures of so many other personalities. And she said, no, it's not that person. Then at one point she made a picture of Pradyumna. And then she became bashful. Why she became bashful? Because some sentiment came in her heart that this was her father-in-law. Then immediately after, when she drew the picture of Aniruddha, then she exclaimed, "Oh, that's him, twice, like she exclaimed. Right, so therefore, with the help of Chitralekha, doing some forensic painting, she could actually determine that this was the person. So then she wanted to be with Aniruddha, who was the son of Pradyumna, and that was not quite possible. So Chitralekha he was a very powerful mystic. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So she had actually powerful mystical powers, and she said, "I will go and fetch him." So she went all the way to Dwarka, and Aniruddha was in his sleep, and she picked him up with his bed and everything, and she brought him to Sonitapur, which was the capital city of Bāṇasur. And there, then she placed the Aniruddha in the inner chambers, the private quarters of ūṣām. And then this was unknown to anyone, and this therefore went on for a whole period of almost Chaturmasya. And this was happening around that time. And what happened then is, because their loving affairs was going on for a long period of time between ūṣām and Aniruddha, some of the intimate associates of ūṣā, her guards and her dasis, they could see that there was some change in her countenance, in how the way she was holding herself. And then they looked closer, and they saw that there was some symptoms of the person not being quite a maiden anymore, a maiden, a virgin. And therefore this was shocking to them. Now you may think that they were demons, so therefore they didn't have such culture, but actually that culture was very much there even in the family of the demons, that they would not be married, they would not have any relationship with someone before the time they were married, which is, if you consider now, it's much worse than even in the times of Bāṇasur. So they immediately reported this because they were fearful of Bāṇasur. So they immediately reported this to Bāṇasur. And Bāṇasur was absolutely overwhelmed with anger. And the Acharyas explain that, I'll connect it to the other side of this story, that Bāṇasur was so powerful that it would have been impossible for him to be defeated anyhow, because previously, we'll come to the storyline in a minute, but previously Bāṇasur had requested, by dint of his devotion to Lord Shiva, that Lord Shiva would become the protector of his kingdom. And this is explained in the verses 4 and 5. So because then Bāṇasur was protected personally by Lord Shiva, his kingdom, it was absolutely impossible for anyone to defeat him, because he would be hiding in the inner quarters of his kingdom in some places that he cannot be found. So because of that, even all the demigods had lost hope, and they were practically being like menial servant of Bāṇasur. But then because Lord Shiva was protecting his inner city and his place, the Acharyas explained that the only way that he could be defeated is through his own fault, and that fault was his intense anger. So when actually, even in the Bhagavad Gita says, when you become angry, you lose your intelligence, you lose your reasoning power, and you go towards vinash. So Bāṇasur was absolutely intensely angry. And how do we also connect the fact that ūṣā had brought in Aniruddha? And this section, it is explained that some pastime where Aniruddha is understood to be Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and also Aniruddha is also the presiding deity of the mind. So this section is going towards Aniruddha, towards the destruction of the Yadu-kula from there on later. You will see that Krishna will arrange. And this is all being set up. So in one sense, Bāṇasur could not be defeated. And the other blessings that Bāṇasur had received were that he had 1,000 arms. And because Bāṇasur had 1,000 arms, he was always itching because he could not properly engage his 1,000 arms. Right? And can you imagine, you have 1,000 arms and you have unlimited desires and you actually come to more or less control the whole world, but still that itching sensation in his arms, in his 1,000th arm was so strong because he was not satisfied. Now, we know in our Gaudiya Siddhanta that the senses we have are only satisfied by being used in Krishna's service. And even no matter how much fruitive activities you perform, one is never satiated, one is never satisfied by performance of materialistic activities. And Bāṇasur was a disciple of Lord Shiva. And he had asked for these blessings. And furthermore, the blessings of Lord Shiva to become his guardian of his city was begotten, that blessings he had was given to him because at one point Bāṇasur assisted Lord Shiva in his Tandava Nritya by playing musical instruments. So the dance of Lord Shiva was one of the best he experienced, for the simple reason that when you have many people playing musical instruments, there's always some little bit of disharmony, right? But here there's one person playing the musical instruments with 1,000 hands, but single-handedly, because he was one person, right? Because he was one person playing with 1,000 hands, so there was no disharmony at all, right? One mind, one intelligence, one person with 1,000 hands playing musical instrument. So Lord Shiva was so impressed and so happy with him that therefore he gave him this blessing. So at one point, even though all these blessings were there, Bāṇasur was not happy. He was not completely satisfied, because the desire in the heart is such that if you try to satisfy one desire after another by material means, it is just like Srila Prabhupada said, it is like adding fuel to fire. And Bāṇasur had reached a point where his material desires, even after having conquered all the demigods, and they were hiding and they were living on the other side of the heaven where they would not be seen even. Otherwise, Bāṇasur would engage them as menial servants. So then at this point, once it happened, and I'm reading now the text 4, says Bāṇasur was intoxicated with his strength. One day when Lord Shiva was standing beside him, Bāṇasur had touched the Lord's lotus feet with his helmet, which shone like the sun. So he said that his kirita, his helmet, kiritanarka, was so brilliant, and even he was so intoxicated with his strength that he did not even bother. Whenever you are in front of an important personality, and especially if that person happens to be your worshipable Lord, your spiritual master, you would not present yourself dressed up in very opulent way in front of someone who you meant to be your master or your Lord. But Bāṇasur was so intoxicated with his pride, and he was offering obeisances, but he did not remove his helmet, and he touched his helmet with the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and then he started speaking to him in the following way. He says, Namasye tvam mahādeva lokanam gurumishwaram pumsam apurna kamanam kama purama angripam. He said, Bāṇasur said, O Lord Mahadev, I bow down to you, the spiritual master and controller of the worlds. So he is addressing the Lord as Ishvara, because that's for him his spiritual master, that's for him his Lord, and he is looking upon Lord Shiva as a controller of the worlds. And he said, you are like the heavenly tree. So he's making reference to Lord Shiva, who will satisfy all his desires. But in essence, he was making reference to his desire within his heart, where actually as any other demon, he was willing to actually fight with Lord Shiva. So the demonic people, whenever they have blessings, first it's never enough. Second, the blessings become an impediment for their happiness, for their satisfaction. And third, they want to even compete with those who have given the blessings. Many stories are like that in the Puranas. So here you are like heavenly tree. Some acharyas say the heavenly tree should be translated as what do you call kalpa-vriksha, but the others say Bāṇasura would not mention about the kalpa-vriksha because he was envious of everything to do with the Supreme Lord. So later on, this explanation comes that because he was so itching to fight, he felt like, I will get someone of your strength to fight with. And then Lord Shiva had told him, because of his pride, and he was particularly proud also because he was like adopted, almost like a son of Lord Shiva. He was considered to be the younger brother of Skanda or Kartikeya. And Kartikeya had given him a flagstaff, you know, like a Jayapataka, a victory flag. And he was always going everywhere with this victory flag. And he was also given a very brilliant vahana. So Lord Shiva told him, one day your victory flag, your flagstaff will be broken and you will be destroyed by someone of equal strength to me. But Bāṇasura actually wanted to fight with Lord Shiva, but he would not dare to actually present himself directly, but he was thinking that way. So let me read the text 6 now. He said, Doshahasram toyam dhatam param bharayame bhavat trilokyam pratiyodharam lalabhetvat riteshamam. So with these 1,000 alms you bestowed upon me have become merely a heavy burden. So unless our senses are being used in Krishna's service, everything becomes a burden. And Bāṇasura, even despite his very great so-called birth, he was the eldest son of Bali Maharaj. So he had a good lineage. He was very powerful, but he was unable, because of his consciousness, of his polluted mind, he was unable to properly use his 1,000 alms, and therefore he was feeling the heavy burden, because with more powerful senses there is definitely more greater and intense desires within everyone to actually enjoy with these senses, but it becomes an impediment, becomes an upadhi. So our senses are meant to be used in Krishna's service, but that was not how Bāṇasura was inspired. He wanted to fight, he wanted to compete, he wanted to become more powerful. Therefore, as his desire became more and more intense and he wanted to fight, he became even more arrogant, more impossible to control. So then he challenged in an indirect way Lord Shiva. He said, besides you, I find no one in the free worlds worthy to fight. And to follow up on the pastime, there's very little purport. So Lord Shiva, then when Lord Krishna found out that Aniruddha has not arrived back after 4 months, they became anxious. And then they went out to look for him. And then they found out that he was being kept in the jail of Bāṇasura, because what has happened is, in the first line of the story, when ūṣām and Aniruddha were caught together and Aniruddha fought back, but he was captured by Bāṇasur, and he was tied up by the Naga Pasha, and he could not actually return back to his kingdom in Dwarka. So then Lord Krishna, accompanied by his main warriors, they had come there and ensued a great fight between Lord Krishna and Bāṇasur, and Lord Shiva also participated in that fight, and with Ganesha and even with Kartikeya. But then Krishna actually cut off his hands, and his 1,000 hands were cut off. 4 were left. 996 was cut off, and 4 were left. And the reason that Krishna actually did not kill Bāṇasura, because Krishna had promised to Prahlād Maharaj to protect his descendants. And Prahlād Maharaj's son Virochana, from Virochana was Bali Maharaj, and from Bali Maharaj was Bāṇasur. So therefore he was spared. He was spared for that reason. So this is the storyline, the incredible pride of Bāṇasur. He's being humbled, and he actually submitted himself to Lord Krishna later on, and everything that Lord Shiva predicted happened to him, and he carried on living in Shonitapur, being protected, always protected by Lord Shiva. That was his the promise to him. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you. So, the senior devotees have any comments to add? And
my mind was fine. And I noticed translation that on the club, in another place, it indicates that we're at a bar with them. It might indicate that he used the metal bar as a club, or it might indicate that different kinds of different pastimes of the Lord are small.
Aniruddha, you mean? Yes, some acharyas say he used an iron rod to fight back, and some says he used his club. Acharyas differ in opinion on this. Vallabhacharya says he used an iron rod, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that he used his gada. Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
In one sense, Lord Shiva was like an incarnation of Krishna, but like milk and yogurt. He's not a living entity. He's not the supreme Lord, but he's like the father or he's the mother. So Lord Shiva protecting a demon to that capacity. What is the idea that Lord Shiva would be protecting? If someone's actually a demonic person or against the Supreme Lord, how would such an exalted person as the Lord Shiva would protect him like that?
He is always very faithful to his disciples and to his servants, and therefore it is also a way of keeping this. I feel, in my understanding, that the demons have their master, and this is their way of keeping them under control. But ultimately also they get purified by the association of Lord Shiva. They do get purified by the association of Lord Shiva. Otherwise they would have no authority to follow. So in one sense they are controlled by the fact that they accepted Lord Shiva as being authority. Here the description of Lord Shiva being sarva-bhūteshu, his explanation is there, that he is the Lord and Master of all the living entities. And in fact Lord Shiva and Bhavan Bhavani, they are actually material mother and fathers of all of us. So they give shelter to the demons so that they can actually have some control over them. Otherwise, if they were completely without authority, actually accept the authority of Lord Shiva in a sense, then they would be complete havoc. Like we have now, the demons are creating havoc all over. without any authority, So in the Vedic culture, everyone has some level of authority. So Lord Shiva accepts to take that authority, because it's not that we're not going to have demons in the material world, because the demons represent, in a sense, agents of Kala. And the highest agent of Kala is Mahakala, Lord Shiva himself. So the demons, as Kala, they are always assisting Lord Shiva in destructive function. Because the idea of Nirodha, the destruction, the annihilation that Lord Shiva is responsible for, sometimes we think, or we conclude that it only happens at the end of the creation, but destruction is going on permanently at every, whenever there is some little bit of destruction required, then the demons actually are the agents of Kala. That's my humble understanding.
And it's said that there's a Asura Loka that's all full of demons, and the heavenly planets are full of demigods, and on this earth planet there's demons and demigods. Both. And it says actually that the worshippers of the demigods are demons. So how can somebody who's worshiping demigods be a demon?
Oh, that is in the second canto, in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, that explanation is there, that even in the spiritual world, the demons and the demigods are worshipping the Supreme Lord. The understanding is that even the demigods, the demons and the demigods that are here, they have the spiritual counterpart even in the spiritual world, and you get a hint of it in the description in the third canto, when the description of Lord Vishnu, Lord Vaikunthanath, is given with his club smeared with blood. So is there fights? No, there aren't fights, but the Lord is always ready to protect those who want to enter the Vaikuntha planet without authority. So yes, this is something we discussed in our studies. How do you have demons and demigods worshipping the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha? Because you have generations of demons who come as asuras, just like Prahlad Maharaj or Bali Maharaj, who become devotees, but they are referred to as asuras, aren't they? So that's the only explanation.
We used to preach to many of the Indian population at their home to be worshipping the demigods. So it said that demigod worshippers are considered demons. So it's kind of like, if you think that somebody's worshipping a demigod, why is he considered a demon?
Well, he's doing his worship not in a proper way, because the blessings will be given by Krishna according to Gita, and he is doing his worship of the demons because he is wanting material abilities. So therefore, if you want to have, if you are praying for material things, then it is against our constitutional position as servants. So if you are not servants, then we are actually serving our senses, and we are not servants of Krishna. We are not utilizing our senses to serve Krishna, then obviously we are using our senses to serve our own interest, and therefore we could be put in the category of non-devotees. Now, non-devotees, demons are the extreme. Yes. Yes, please.
So the scripture says that no illicit sex, but here we can see that ūṣām and Aniruddha, so before marriage they are in one place. How could you explain this?
Okay. There's one interesting example is given, that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Because everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, just like in the case of, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the idea of Krishna enjoying the gopis who are married to other men is considered very difficult to reconcile even for all Vaishnavas. And because of that, some Vaishnava schools, I'm bringing it from an angle, that some Vaishnava schools even don't want to worship Krishna in his adult form, they worship in the Baal form and so on and so forth. But the idea is all the jivas do not belong to the men who are married to them. They actually belong to Krishna. All the jivas do belong to Krishna. Even in the material world, the jivas are sheltered under Paramatma. So Aniruddha, being Paramatma, enjoying with ūṣā, being jiva, actually belongs to him. And actually anyone else enjoying ūṣā would be illegal and illicit. And Aniruddha enjoying ūṣā is actually constitutionally right because it belongs to her. And at the same time, there is another explanation that when the personality of Godheads or the different incarnations of the Supreme Lord, they come and engage in these different activities, they don't become polluted. And the example is given like fire. When fire starts to burn refuse or rubbish or filth, does a fire become contaminated? It doesn't. So similarly, the Supreme Lord enjoying activities with jivas who may externally belong as a wife to someone does not contaminate the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu. I hope I'm saying the right thing, Prabhu. I stay corrected.
I mean, it all sounds right to me.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Really, notice because we see that nobody is equal to Krishna. So why Lord Shiva is using this word as a word is equal to me?
Yes, I mean, of course, Supreme Personality of Godhead is no one is equal or higher than him. That is the definition of the absolute truth, yes. But Lord Shiva, he wanted to fight Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva didn't want to fight with him because he had promised to protect him, so he'd break his own promise. So he said, you'll find someone of equal strength to me, which also indicates that unless you are of higher strength, how will you defeat Bāṇasya? So it's just rhetoric, it's just semantics, the way it is presented. But to defeat someone, you have to be of not equal strength, but higher strength. So Krishna is going to be the person who defeats Bāṇasya because Krishna is always of higher strength. So these presentations may be, but maybe sort of in rhetoric or in usage of word, you can dig into it and interpret it this way or that way. But if you're coming from, tattva vichar, you know that the absolute truth is higher. It can never be defeated by anyone. So obviously, this is a way of presenting it to Bāṇasya. Because even if someone said to Bāṇasya that there is someone superior to you, he would not accept it. Because he had defeated everyone within his purview. So Lord Shiva was presenting it like that. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Nidai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. I'd like to thank you, Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity to serve.